Okay, am I crazy or does everyone like One Piece now? Because back in the day, everybody liked Naruto, Bleach, or Dragon Ball. One Piece didn't have it like that, especially with that stupid ass.
He's made of rubber! How did that happen?
Yo ho ho, he took a bite of gum gum. Alright, I'm just playing, don't crucify me. But you gotta admit, back then, I don't know if people thought it was too goofy or maybe it wasn't as serious, or maybe even back then they thought it was too long. But these days, in the West, a lot of people have been catching on because in Asia, everyone loves One Piece. It's like Mickey Mouse over there. Kids love One Piece, old people love One Piece, adults love One Piece. Indonesia, Vietnam, China, Korea, Japan, they love One Piece. But what I'm trying to say is, a lot of people are starting One Piece for the very first time right now. And they're starting Pre-Timeskip One Piece, which I think has some of the most fantastical and immersive storytelling I had ever seen. And if you're lucky enough to fall in love with it like I did, you'll come to see that the rich world building, authentic characters, and emotionally impactful events are enough to captivate you for life. Arlong Park, Alabasta, Skypiea, Water 7, all the way to Marineford. I love every single one of these story arcs. Contrary to what some of y'all might think, it's not quite as simple as going from one island to the next. Okay, it's kinda like that. But there's a little bit more nuance. Each arc is a fully realized, character-driven story with real stakes, drama, and action. Stories with emotional weight and massive payoffs. But what made it even more special was that the islands that each of these stories take place on are fully fleshed out, to the point where I was excited each time the Straw Hats landed somewhere new. I wanted to know all about their culture, its inhabitants, the architecture, the wildlife, and even its politics. It all felt so real, like I was really adventuring alongside them, and I credit this to how well thought out and diverse the world building actually is. The rough and dinosaur-filled wilderness on Little Garden, the grand snowy mountains on Drum Island, the scorching deserts of Alabasta, the strange, dense plant life on Upper Yard, and how it differed from the fluffy clouds on Skypiea, as well as the advanced and intricate architecture of Water 7. I really could not get enough. If there was any fantasy world that I believed actually existed in a parallel universe, it's gotta be One Piece. It's kinda like Oda was able to look inside of this world and come back to tell us what he saw. These places were brimming with life, and the most impressive thing is they were all connected in one way or another. Just because an arc ends, it doesn't mean that these places or the characters fall into obscurity. They can still play a big role later on, and it felt like they were actually added to a larger picture after its spotlight ended. All of these numerous different arcs being able to fit into one large cohesive story, able to feel the impact rippling throughout the world every time a large event happened to the story and to the Straw Hats. Speaking of the Straw Hats, as we're going on this adventure with them, exploring these islands, helping its people, and facing off against overwhelming adversity, these characters start to come to life, like they're actually living and breathing people. Their struggles, their pasts, their bonds, and their trust that they have in each other is the heart of One Piece. They're crewmates, but they're definitely more like a tight-knit family, which their ship is even a part of. Kinda. Usopp, Nami, Chopper, Robin, Sanji, Zoro, Brook, Frankie, and of course Luffy all bring something unique to the crew. Obviously, they all have essential roles like navigating, cooking, medicine, and archaeology? What the hell? I mean, archaeology is cool and all, but who in the history of pirates had a fucking archaeologist? Everything else makes sense. A musician like Brook makes sense. Is Nico Robin a bum? I'm just playing. I know they need her to read poneglyphs and books and shit to find the One Piece, okay? I love Nico Robin. Okay, back on track. They all bring something unique to the crew, and I don't mean their roles. What I really mean is their well-rounded and distinct personalities complement each other, and it's fun to see how they interact. That's one of the best things about the Straw Hats. Their individuality allows them to depend on one another, especially when someone's dealing with a challenge better suited for a whole different crewmate altogether. Many times in the show, they're able to ask each other for help without hesitation, and when they do, it's done with 100% trust. Even when they're known to bicker like Zoro and Sanji. But the one thing that pulls them all together, the one thing that they all have in common, is the deep respect and faith that they have for their captain, Monkey D. Luffy. Every Straw Hat believes without a shred of doubt that their captain will succeed in becoming king of the pirates. No matter what obstacles they face, no matter how larger than life their enemies seem, one thing that they will always believe in is Luffy. And that's because they've seen it firsthand, how determined their captain is, and how he makes the impossible possible through raw willpower. And while they do think he's a straight up dumbass, when it really matters, they know that they can rely on him. And it goes both ways too. When Luffy's pushed to his wit's end, at his lowest, he knows that he can turn to his crew. He believes in them just as much as they do him. Time and time again, they've saved his skin, and he loves them for it. Luffy does not hide his admiration for them. He's genuinely grateful to have them, and he's having the time of his life on that ship. And when he's broken, the one thing that can pick him back up is his crew. It's character writing like this that makes people fall deeply in love with any story. The tangible bond between its already well-developed characters. What's really cool is that Oda does not save this level of care for just the Straw Hats. It's present for so many characters beyond them as well. He doesn't take any shortcuts for writing the supporting cast either, and it really shows his genuine love for his own story. Like it's bleeding through the pages. Or the screen if Toei doesn't butcher it. It makes it crystal clear that the reason that One Piece is so endearing is because it was crafted with love. One Piece is technically a battle shonen. Well, actually, it literally is one. But while that is definitely a fun part of the story, something that overshadows that and actually makes use of it in the bigger picture is its emotional storytelling. One Piece is riddled with fighting. Blah! You get some! Blah! Blah! You get some! Oh, you hit a dog! Blah! 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 But the only reason any of the fights are any good, in my opinion, is the raw emotion tied to each of them. The fights serve as a climax or a culmination of all of it bottling up, and the stakes felt real, like they were of real-life significance. Each and every one of my favorite moments weren't how badass the fights were, but the things that led up to it. The walk to Arlong Park after seeing what happened to Nami and her village. The visceral screams from Princess Vivi begging for her country to stop their infighting. Robin's desperate cry for help to her crew, and then how they made enemies with the entire world government because of it. All of these preceding their respective climaxes that were the cherries on top. Every drop of heartbreak, struggle, hope, and resolve coming together into one single point every time. It's incredible just how immersed you can be when watching or reading One Piece. How glued you are to the screen, as if Luffy just liberated your actual fucking country. And that's one of my favorite parts of One Piece, that a world that's this silly can have me in such a chokehold. There's a lot more I could say about One Piece, and there's things that warrant their whole entire videos by themselves. But like a lot of people say, it genuinely is a modern epic. The Odyssey of our time. spanning more than 1,000 chapters and episodes, unfolding in real time for every fan as it had for the last 27 years. Pre-Timeskip especially having a special place in my heart, but that's not to say that post-Timeskip is any bad either. While I do think that it did need a little bit more work, especially towards the beginning, it's still One Piece and it still had really powerful moments. Post-Timeskip just had to piggyback off of Pre-Timeskip up until I'd say Dressrosa. That just goes to show how strong of a foundation Pre-Timeskip is as a whole for the entire franchise. So, how do you feel? Was Pre-Timeskip your favorite too? Are you still watching it? Or maybe you haven't even started One Piece yet. If you're new, I hope this video was a good enough love letter to the show to get you interested. And if you're a seasoned fan,
here's how the story goes, we find out about the legend of the Grand Line, there's no doubt. The pirate whose eye is on, he'll sing, I'll be king of the pirates, I'm gonna be king!
Okay, thank you for watching, and I'll catch you in the same place next time. Only on Astroneat.